Okay, the observer, how to apply the observer. Really, the observer is the recognition, and it happens with objects which are meaningless. There is a natural detached observation of which any object which is meaningless, but there is no detached observation of objects which are meaningful and have ego vested interest or huge and especially huge vested interest or meaning, then there's no gap. And it seems like these forms, like bodies and thoughts, are to do with me. So naturally, when one is walking about, even at low levels of consciousness, when one hasn't done much work, if one walks in a park, the trees are observed to be out there with distance, and the tree in the park is witnessed to be an object out there which is nothing to do with self. It's totally disidentified, detached. There's a lot of space, and it's kind of a relevant, meaningless object which can be witnessed, can be seen as being beautiful, but it kind of like is forgotten within the next moment as one walks by. So that's a state of, I mean, that is a natural state of observation of form when there's no attachment, no meaning projected, no vested interest or a huge belief system associated or projected emotionality. So that's a natural thing. I mean, everyone's got that with, like one observes a table. It's not like, oh God, this table is me. Don't harm the table. I mean, it's just ridiculous. The table is not just a witnessed object in the middle of the room. So why do people go around saying, oh, this body is me. I am the body. It's like there's no detachment. It's like the body is what I am. I'm limited and restricted and even can suffer. It seems like things go on in the body and I'm suffering. It's very personal. Also, thoughts can flip by, all kinds of belief systems and heavy thoughts with meaning. If I said like I believe grass is green and someone said I believe it's red, I mean I couldn't care less really. Not interested in having an argument or even thinking about it. If you want to believe grass is red and I believe grass is green, doesn't matter. But certain things like, I don't know, what is it? Like if someone said, look, you look ugly because you're bald and you've got no hair. I could get like, I could go, I feel offended. Yeah, how could you say that? Bald people are, I don't know, ugly or something. So, or what does that mean? If bald people are ugly, does that mean the more hair you've got, the more attractive you are? So it's like, it's hilarious. If it's a strongly attached belief, then I'll get offended or I'll think you're making an attack on me about my hair or whatever it is. Doesn't really matter. That's just an illustrative belief. I mean, it could be true. I mean, if someone can call me baldy and see if I get angry. But uh, so so this is the thing. So strongly said, I mean, one of some of the strongest beliefs with the Course in Miracle, as it's aimed at enlightenment, transcending all limitation to recognize one infinite self. It's in alignment with the prayer of St. Francis, who's a mystic. It's in dying, it's the death of the identification with limitation and form that one recognizes one eternal, timeless nature, which is beyond form and is not limited to being a tree or a body or a thought or a belief system or anything that can pass by or is transitory or is of the world of form and changing. So obviously St. Francis recognized that through his spiritual devotion. All enlightened teachers, mystics, Buddha, uh, 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 if you release all attachments to this world, to oneself, and to one's beliefs and thoughts and body and other bodies and everything that happens in this world, one recognizes the Buddha nature, the enlightened nature, the infinite self, which is always here. It's prior to the heavy investment in form. So people who've done spiritual work recognize witnessing once you get detachment, like one naturally witnesses a tree. Suddenly one witnesses the body, and suddenly, oh, there's a witnesser of the body. It seemed to be an object, which is irrelevant and nothing to do with what I really am. It's just a transitory table. People want to call me the body. Then it's kind of like it's kind of like the body's not me. It's an object that's witnessed out there. And what about the thoughts that float by? Well, if they're meaningless, what you find is when you make a thought meaningless, you don't register it, so it just disappears and you no longer experience it. I don't know, like there was what's been a rel like I had a huge thing with like Star Wars toys. Yeah, I had a lot of things with Star Wars toys. Now it's like, I wouldn't be that interested. It doesn't really take that much attention with Star Wars toys any longer. It's become more meaningless to life now. So one transcends these, and then they no longer, like there was a time once in my life where Star Wars toys was a huge obsession. I had lots of toys and spacecraft and all kinds of things. And now it's like, it doesn't really enter my mind. It's like almost, you could say it's transcended, or it's like it's relevant. So yeah, I had so uh that can happen. So when if you transcended all your thoughts and made them meaningless, you wouldn't actually register any thoughts. There'd be pure silence. And the eternal, ever silent nature would be present. It's only because of the identification, attachment, and projected form. So there is a spiritual awakening when suddenly there's a witnessing of the body and there's the recognition, there's a space. It's nothing to do with me. When most people are actually heavily addicted to their thinking. It's a major addiction along with the body, which the Course recognizes. And so once one starts to so the way I do the thoughts is there's the recognition. I'll go through the process now with thoughts and the body. You can also do it with feelings and time. And okay, it's a long video, isn't it? So waffled on too much. I'll go quickly. Okay, the body. So the body, there was suddenly the spiritual awakening, and that there was actually a witnessing of the body. How do you witness the body and recognize the body as an object out there? Well, when you see a table, it's got a height and a width. And suddenly you just get an awareness. How tall is the body and how wide is the body? And then there must be something behind that which is watching it because it's an object, because there's an awareness of it. Like one witnesses the table, one is aware how high and tall. So then suddenly there was the awareness. Oh my goodness, yes, there is an observer that witnesses and observes how tall and wide the body is, and the observer is not the body. So there is that, it's a witnesser behind. That was a spiritual awakening. And then as you go into the observer of the body, there's a detached observing, so detached observer, and then you go to the observer of the observer that observes the body, and then suddenly the body starts to disappear, and you start not to notice the body as you go through the day. So that's how, yeah, most of the day I don't recognize the body or aware of the body. And sometimes if you go very deep, you can be quite clumsy. So you have accidents because you're just not aware you have a body. Or even, the thoughts. Well, the thoughts, in my experience, I recognized there was a huge identification with thoughts. Having been an addict, being in the head, it's like the thoughts are me. Suddenly, as I was doing spiritual work with a teacher, in the presence of spiritual fields, it's easiest. Suddenly, there was a recognition that the thoughts are a bit like a TV station, and that behind the TV station of the thinking, like a movie theater, there's a watcher. And suddenly it was recognized that there can be a watching of the thoughts. One doesn't have to be in the thoughts. And the thoughts are like flitting by. And so one goes, and once one recognizes that, one is like released from the tyranny that one is the thoughts, because one recognizes, no, there's actually a watcher behind the thoughts. And if you go deeper into the watcher of the watcher, then actually the thoughts start to lose their meaning, like a TV set. So usually when you watch a movie theater or TV, you get really hypnotized and you're in the movie and you don't recognize yourself any longer. You're in the characters and whatever. But then as you get more detached, you realize it's just a film out there. It's not really interesting. And then if you become really detached, you go into the inner light, and suddenly the movie is irrelevant, and you go deeper within, and you lose interest in that, and so there's more and more detachment, and then eventually the thought. I mean, in my experience, thoughts happen less and less, and they're meaningless. And actually, there's a recognition that every single thought that might appear is actually totally useless. I don't want to listen to that because as the Course in Miracles says, my source is actually the connection to God. That's what protects me and sustains me and looks after me and orchestrates life around me. Not being in the head. The head is actually, the more I was in my head, the more I picked up all kinds of horrific addictions, which took me to hell and death. So being in the head is actually the source of anti-life, and connecting to the higher fields of the infinite is actually the source of the miraculous. When every bus arrives on time and every sort of tube arrives on time, and it's like there's a mystical flow to the universe, and one is connected to the source. Got nothing to do with the head trying to make sure one gets the bus on time. It's a mysticism beyond that. It's that which is orchestrated by the love of God, because one is in God rather than in the head. The head is the anti-God. Well, maybe I shouldn't have said that. But it doesn't like being in the source, and the head likes being in the head. So that's the I should start to um, okay, and one can do very quickly, because it's a long video, wrap up on time and location. Time, there's actually an unconscious tracking of every second. Everyone in the Western world, probably in Tibet and everything, there's no tracking of time. It's a totally useless thing. It doesn't happen. They're timeless. But here in the West, everyone is got like an unconscious clock, clicking, noting the seconds, so that everyone kind of in the West knows how much time's elapsed. You go to the observer of the sense of wanting to be aware of time, and then you go into the timeless. So you're making time a meaningless thing. And there is a point where you can go into fields, it's hard to describe, where the tracking of time ceases to occur. And actually one loses track of time. So one can, be in a place for hours and one thought it was a second, because it's like the internal thing that's trying to count seconds has just disappeared. It's actually just a mechanism of the ego. It's not got nothing to do. It actually draws you into limitation. So it's not really useful, except if you're around a lot of other egos that are sort of time junkies. And okay, so the location. There's a sense of location because the body. But if you observe the sense of location, you go to an observer, which is locationless. So it's not in any part of the room. So that's how you dissolve. I'm going to make it brief now. So that's how you dissolve time through the observer, dissolve the body, dissolve the thoughts, dissolve location. Oh, feelings. I think you can do the observer on everything that's form. If you suddenly like get angry, actually you can eventually recognize there's an observer. Oh, there's a feeling starting to emerge which is being watched. Then it seems to be intense like a cloud, and then it seems to pass. So there's a watcher of that come and go. Once you realize that, then you realize feelings are just, clouds which come and go. But there's a witnesser that sees them arise and fall. And as you go deeper into the witnesser, then there's the recognition one doesn't have to be attached or make a story about these wafts of energy that arise and pass by because they're transitory. Okay, so and last tip, if you're practicing the observer, is you can play this video with the volume off or on to guide you and practice it along with the video, or you can just be, if you're doing another practice like prayers or whatever, just put it on silent, this video. But the energy of this video will remind you to be praying, and sometimes the energy in the video may remind mind you, for the capacity for the observer to observe another tool, for example, praying and witnessing at the same time. Okay, so wishing you miracles and grace with being in the witnesser of all form. I'm going to stop the video and press stop video. Hold on.